Friday night of Electric Picnic, the main stage act are Interpol, and with us, Daniel Kessler from Interpol. Welcome to Ireland again.
Thank you.
It's not your first time by a long shot. You were here doing your Olympia dates. Was it October, November? October. You did a few nights.
Wrong. It was December.
Was it December?
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
It was great though. We had 4 nights in total, 3 nights there. So we just kind of set up residency, and it was a real pleasure being able to walk from like the hotel to the gig each night and walk back. And it was snowing a little bit. It was a really good time for us.
And I actually get to hang out and be in a city.
Yeah, no, we set up camp and we were there and we kind of lived there and went, like did things, and it was great. It was a rarity that we get to do something like that.
So nice because there's not many bands that get to do the 4 nights at the Olympia, and it's such a beautiful venue, and you've played it so many times before.
Yeah, it was 3 nights, but we had 4 nights in town. We had a day off too.
Cool.
Yeah, I mean it's an incredible venue. There's nothing like it anywhere, and there's nothing like really playing like in Ireland and Dublin. It's like some of our best bands in the world. So it was a real pleasure. It was a real treat, and it was towards the end of the tour. So it was kind of nice to get to that last week and have something like that for you.
Good, because there's a long history with Ireland, and there's been a big love affair with you guys quite early on. The first time I interviewed you guys, I think, was at the Village with Franz Ferdinand supporting you, and they hadn't even released a single yet. So it dates back in indie rock history from that point of view.
Yeah, no, I mean it's always been. I think it was definitely one of the places in the world that took to us, at the earliest point, and then they've also just been with us the entire time, and it's great. And whenever we've played festivals, there's always a really great camaraderie between us and the audience.
The Irish connection has continued in a small-scale way with U2, that tiny band and the tiny 360-degree tour. Tell me about supporting them, because it's got to be insane. I mean, I've heard so many other bands talk about supporting them and going out into these gigantic arenas and sort of feeling like footballers. How is it for you? Paint us a picture of some of the gigs.
It was great. I mean, we did 3 weeks last year in Europe, and then we did 3 weeks just now in July in the States, and it was great. Our first show was in Stade de France in Paris, which was like a 90,000 person stadium. So it was a good. That was the biggest, I think, the biggest of the shows. But that's a lot of people, and it's something. At the end of the day, like even when we accepted, I didn't overthink it. It's playing a show, and maybe the context is very, very different. But when you go up there and you're playing your songs, that's all you have to think about. And very much, definitely a different environment. But the audience was always very nice and receptive to us, and it was a great experience.
Catering's a bit better. Catering
is a bit better.
Okay, you gotta have a few perks.
Or we have catering at least. No, we don't have catering. No, catering's
You're not on a sleeper bus.
Yes.
That's true. Okay, that's cool. You also did the tour with the Pixies last year, right?
No, we just did we did a festival in Mexico, and they headlined. We kind of co-headlined the festival, so we finished on one stage and they started up on the next one.
Because there was a nice live EP. I'm pretty sure was it your website or their website with some live tracks from that gig.
I think we just traded. We did like a sort of our fan base, their fan base, and vice versa.
It's a really nice thing to do.
It was a cool thing to do. It was it was obviously it was extremely flattering for us because we're all great admirers of that band, and it's one of the great bands of our time. So. It was flattering that we could actually do that kind of promotion or that kind of like exchange with a band like the Pixies.
Yeah, absolutely. So with the new album, it's unusual 4 albums in to go to self-titled. Often the debut self-titled. Was there a reason for that, or we just are Interval, so let's just leave it?
I think it just felt right to us. It was something that we were just exchanging potential title ideas one day while writing the record, and then. I think Paul was the one who said, how about self-titled? And it was the first one that was put on the table that we all kind of took seriously. And it was about, also for the same reason that you mentioned, it's not often you hear that on a record after your first record. But I think that's what we liked about it. We've already had a few records with sort of long titles to it, and we felt like let's just do something very, very simple and let the music speak for itself.
And it's still going. I mean, amazing to have an album that came out in September, still releasing these try-it-ons, just being released here, and the remixes. Is that a side that you get involved in? Like, are you interested in the remix side, or is that just...
I am.
Yeah,
I am.
Okay.
I'm really into it, and we're fortunate we work with like a really great record label, and so they have really good taste, and we can exchange potential people that we'd like to have remix our tracks. So.
And is that through Matador more so, or co-op? Because I know it's kind of split
here
your co-op
more
here.
Through co-op, but Matador, is totally into the concept as well. But it was a bit more maybe driven for the try it on with the co-op people. But it's great though. It's great. It's also not trying to look at the maybe conventional people to do remixes, but people who are kind of maybe, you know, up and coming, or people just kind of there, and yeah, I'm really into that stuff. And some of the remixes I think came out great. I mean, they all came out great, but I was really happy with them.
Okay, cool. So do you think you'll do a few more, or do you think that the album cycle's kind of...
Well, we're definitely winding down a little bit. We've been touring for, you know, like 14 months, and it's been pretty heavy. So I think the album cycle is probably winding down. We might, you never know though. We might have something up our sleeve here and there, and you know, in the you know, in the form of remixes.
Okay, and then might you actually get to spend time with your friends and family for Christmas? Is that the plan?
Christmas, oh yeah. I'll take the autumn. You know, just let's get to the autumn right now, and then. Yeah, I think so, and it's gonna be nice, you know, if they'll have me. Like,
hi, my name's Daniel.
Yeah. Got to do some mending there.
You might have seen my footwork on stage, because that is what you're famous for. I mean, obviously, a brilliant guitarist.
What I'm famous for.
Seriously, no. In addition to your outrageous skill as a guitar player, you do have very fancy footwork on stage.
Shucks.
I always wonder how much of it is conscious, like, because obviously if you're in the zone, you're in the zone. But you know, were you a dancer when you were young?
No. I think it's easier for me to get into the show and just really get into it, literally throw myself into it. Than you know, it'd be really nerve-wracking for me to stand still and just stare at people. Some people I think that's their comfort, is really just to do that, and it'd be very frightening for them to move around. But for me, it's a lot more comforting to move around and get into it, and just kind of really connect to the music and think about very little things out there. And just, to me, that makes for a good show, and that makes for a very honest show for me. It makes me feel like I'm just really giving everything I have but if I stand there just concentrating when I'm playing to a T and just really not moving and just staring blankly at the audience, which I have nothing against that, because obviously a lot of bands are like that, and they're totally cool looking and totally great about it. But that would make me very nervous.
It's kind of sweet to hear, you know, a band at your size, especially when you're playing places like Stade de France or whatever, that, you know, that you'd still occasionally get nerves. I don't
get nerves if I just kind of get into it. And
okay.
It feels like, well,
that
feels kind of correct and fortunate, and that's the way, you know, versus, I mean, I feel like that's nice to know that I can do that. That's what makes me feel less nervous, is actually just try to stop thinking about everything and just try to get into playing the music, and, you know, and and usually with that comes to moving around quite a bit, so... but I don't really get too nervous. No, I don't.
Okay.
I think if I stood still, I probably would.
Yeah. Okay. And when it comes to this tour, and particularly more importantly for us, because we're selfish by nature, how are you choosing the set? Do you have a set for the tour, or do you change it up for yourselves? So what do you...
We change it up. I mean, obviously when you're doing festival stuff, it's going to change quite a bit night per night, because you have different time allotments or allowances, so it's going to be a bit different.
You are the main thing. You are the headline act of the main stage. It's your baby. You've got it.
Yeah. No, it's exciting. I mean, it's a real privilege, and it's something that, you know, really going to really savor and enjoy.
It's nice
tonight.
out there. All the lights and the trees and the flags.
I've heard that. I mean, this festival has that reputation, and those reputations kind of, you know, precede them. And so when you tell people you're going to go play that festival, usually another band will be like, oh, and this is one of those festivals. So it's great to come here and play here for the first time.
So a little bit of everything?
I think a little bit from everything, you know, from every record, you know, as far as what it's going to be like and so forth. I like that. We obviously have some tracks that we try to keep in the mix night per night, and there's some songs that we trade, you know, that kind of make a special appearance. Festival stage is a bit different than maybe completely like a headlining show, but I think we'll have a bit of, you know...
You pump out the hits a little bit
more. Here and there, yeah, you know.
Oh, that's okay. That's always good.
No, it's like good, that. You know. I think we're fortunate, too, that we have... You know, our fans are usually people who like our albums, not just like, they don't really just want to hear that one song and then hear it again later on in the set.
No, so, they've stayed with you.
Yeah, and and it's nice that we have that. So, you know, like, it's nice that we can sort of just try to find a balance between all four records, and and just find some good energy.
So next time we see Interpol in Ireland, realistically,
I don't know yet. You know, I kind of like that. I feel like we got to do the 3 nights in Dublin in December, and now we're back again to finish our European tour, and it's cool to be here. I mean, it's like great to finish it here. It really felt nice to think about that this morning. This is after 4.5 weeks being on tour, that this is the last show tonight on this particular tour. But so, the next time, I don't know. You know, this is where we take a little bit of a break, and we start thinking about, rather than waking up every day in a new hotel room being like, right, where do I get coffee today? You know, you start getting a bit of a routine.
Did I leave my clothes at the last hotel?
Yeah, and then you come home and you're like, I can get coffee in my kitchen every day for 7 days. I mean, those things, it takes a while to get back into that civilian kind of, normal way of thinking. So I'm going to do that for a little bit, and then you start. But then you start anew, and then you start writing new songs, and you take it from there, and it's a cycle. This whole thing.
So everybody who's here is lucky. So hopefully it'll be a big bear hug for you guys, from outside on the field, because this is the last time to catch you for the next little while.
For a little while, yeah, until the next record.
Oh, I'm really looking forward to it. I think it'll be amazing out there. So thanks for coming in, Daniel.
Hey, pleasure.